On a rainy night way back in 1989, my father arrived home from work, and I was probably watching a cartoon as he called me over. He had in his hands a brown paper bag, which he handed to me. Inside the bag was a Batman figure from the new movie that was showing in the cinema, a movie I was too young to see but desperately wanted to. I emptied the brown paper bag onto the table and discovered that I had my very first Batman figure. I just couldn't wait to rip it out of the packaging. Now, at this point in my life, I was only familiar with the Adam West Batman show and probably a few Neil Adam comic books here and there, so this looked drastically different to me. This was a darker version of Batman for a new age, just like the new movie trailer was promising. This fast became my all-time favourite action figure. I played with it all the time, but of course that Batman figure that my father purchased for me that day didn't stand the test of time, as I played with it all the time like I said, and eventually it became broken and was thrown out. But a few years back, when I was walking around one of my local comic cons, I noticed that someone was selling the carded, unopened version of my Batman figure that I love so much, so of course I couldn't help but buy it, and now it stands proudly on top of my shelf. But for the purposes of this video, and because I actually wanted it in my collection, unboxed, I've purchased this figure again off Vinted, so we can take a closer look at it today. And here he is out of the box, and he's actually in pretty good condition considering he's second hand and so old. I mean, sure, his ears are a little bit scuffed. This is something I actually quite like because it says to me that this figure has been enjoyed and it's been played with. Now, one thing I did find difficult whilst looking for this figure unboxed was trying to find a figure where the bat emblem is intact, where it's not too scuffed and where it's not faded away. I was very happy to find that this bat emblem is immaculate. Now, you may have also noticed that he's missing his accessories like his batarang and his grapple gun, but most noticeably he's actually missing his cape, and Batman isn't Batman without his cape. There we go, that's exactly as I remember him. Now he is perfect. Now, these figures were released by ToyBiz. ToyBiz acquired the license to Batman in 1986. Previously, Kenner had held the license and had success with the superhero line. And in 1989, ToyBiz released the first Batman figure. They also released the Joker and Bob the Goon. The ToyBiz Batman came with a clip-on cape, a grapple gun and a batarang. This Batman figure was moulded with some beautiful details, but the articulation wasn't fantastic, although it did have steel pins in the legs so he could actually bend his knees. Now, I'll admit by today's standards this figure is very basic looking, but the enjoyment I got with this figure was absolutely amazing. My imagination was my only limit. But to help my imagination out a little bit, this figure also had a very cool built-in retractable belt, and this gave so much more play value to an already amazing figure. You could use the belt to pull him up onto rooftops, which was my parents' coffee table, and you could also use the belt to capture thugs with. The possibilities really were endless with this figure. Now, the only problem was I didn't get any Batman villains for Batman to fight. I did get a Joker figure, but that was the next year from the Kenner Dark Knight line. So I had to compromise. Not having any official Batman figures was not going to stop my fun, so Batman would have to fight with the Ninja Turtles, or even the most powerful man in the universe, He-Man. And of course, Batman would always win. But there was something missing. There was something Batman just couldn't do without. Something that he needed. Robin.
Holy cliche.
No, just joking. The Batmobile.
Get the car.
What?
Now, I got this Batmobile quite some time after purchasing the Batman figure, and I'd saved my money up for so long, and finally the day came when I could afford it. No longer will Batman be riding around in my Tonka truck. Oh no, he now had his very own car. And I would say this is my favourite toy vehicle from my childhood, even beating the Turtle Wagon and the Ecto-1. Now, unlike the figure, this is my original Batmobile from my youth, and it was and still is fantastic. It actually looked like it had been pulled directly from the movie, and it was so accurate in so many ways, if you can excuse the canopy that is missing from this, and they opted for an open top so you can actually sit Batman directly into it. Now, I did always wish that it had the sliding canopy, but I've got to say it never really ruined my enjoyment with this car. Little did I know there was another version of this Batmobile with the sliding canopy that was brought out by Kenner a little further down the line. Now with the new addition to my Batmobile, once again my imagination was in full swing. I would attach string to the side of the Batmobile to replicate the grapple wire that helps Batman take those tight corners like he did in the movie. I did also try and make my very own Batcave, but unfortunately I didn't have a big enough box and this idea was abandoned. Underneath the coffee table became my Batcave. Now, there was actually a Batcave released by ToyBiz, and I'm sure that my parents must have covered my eyes when those adverts came on TV, because I didn't know about this until later on in my life. But it didn't matter, like I keep saying, imagination is key. And I actually made my very own shield. When he says shields and the shields appear over the car, it didn't look movie accurate at all, but in my mind it was, and that is all that matters. Imagination was key. And later on I did actually discover that the Bat Shield did actually come with some releases of the Batmobile. Now the Batmobile also comes with 2 firing missiles which shoot from the front of the Batmobile when you lift the gear stick. Unfortunately I've lost mine over the years. And the Batmobile also came with stickers that you could stick to the side. The Batmobile also had an extra seat, but my Batman always rode alone. Even a defeated Joker did not get the opportunity to ride next to Batman on the way to Arkham. Oh no, he went in the boot. Now funnily enough, in 2015's Arkham Knight game, Batman also placed defeated criminals into the boot of the Batmobile. And I'm betting that someone over at Rocksteady Studios had this Batmobile as a child, and that's where they got the idea from. Now for me, the ToyBiz Batman figure and the ToyBiz Batmobile will always hold a special place in my heart. They are the most memorable, most enjoyable figures I can remember from my childhood. But I want to know, what was your most enjoyable toy from your childhood? Maybe it was this Batman, maybe it was this Batmobile, maybe it was the Ghostbusters car, maybe it was something completely different. Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear it.